Hare Krishna, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Okay, so you have started recording now. Thank you, Mataji, for reminding. Let us proceed. So let me share my screen. Yes, I hope the screen is visible. So we are discussing today Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter number 6, shloka number 20. We were reading word by word meaning. So we were on the point Lakshaya, pleasing to hear, Vacha, words, Sucha, grief, Prasam, Mayan, mitigating, Iva, life. Translation and purport by His Divine Graces, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Seeing my attempts in that lonely place, the personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all mundane descriptions, spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words just to mitigate my grief. Purport. In the Vedas, it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence, and yet by His causeless mercy, one can have suitable senses to hear Him or speak to Him. This is the Lord's inconceivable energy. One upon whom His mercy is bestowed can hear Him. The Lord was much pleased with Nārada Muni, and therefore the necessary strength was invested in him so that he could hear the Lord. It is not, however, possible for others to perceive directly the touch of the Lord during the probationary stage of regulative devotional service. It was a special gift for Nārada when he heard the pleasing words of the Lord. The feeling of separation were to some extent mitigated. A devotee in love with God feels always the pangs of separation and is therefore always enwrapped in transcendental ecstasy. So, before I proceed with the shloka, just a quick background. I know we have been discussing chapter number 6 from quite a while, so not going much in detail. Chapter number 5, we had discussed the instructions of Nārada Mahārāja for Vyasadeva, and in chapter number 6, we are seeing there is a conversation happening between Nārada Mahārāja and Vyasadeva. So that conversation is going on. Now, during the conversation, we see that Vyasadeva is exhibiting a great quality of a devotee, and that is why Srimad Bhagavatam, it works as an encyclopedia for the devotees, because we get to see that how a devotee should act in all the circumstances. So Srimad Bhagavatam has got the stories of 2,000 devotees. So in this one, we are seeing how Vyasadeva is acting as a great devotee here. And he is, showing the path to all the devotees, how we should live our life. So you see here, when Nārada Mahārāja gave instructions to Vyasadeva, he is not blindly accepting everything, but yes, he is doing submissive inquiries. And that is very important. Even in Bhagavad-gītā, Lord is mentioning, tad viddhi pradipatena pariprashnena sevaya, that we need to serve. And then with the submissive inquiry, we need to inquire from the spiritual master, and that is why that is how you see here Vyasadeva is inquiring. And what is he inquiring? He's inquiring about the previous life of Nārada Mahārāja. He's asking Nārada Mahārāja, after the sages they have left, how did you how did you pass through your life? What happened next? So there are questions like he's asking how did you lead your life after the sages left? And then Nārada Mahārāja is speaking about his, what and all he went through, and how he kept all the time, his positive attitude, and, had full faith in the service of the Lord. And then how was his meditation, where and all he went, what great struggles he did to reach a place where he could, peacefully meditate on the form of the Lord. And here Prabhupada is writing that Nārada Mahārāja was very fortunate, because he could have the darshan of the Lord, of course, in his heart, but yes, he could also hear from the Lord. See how Lord is so much merciful. But one more point here I want to bring it out is that when Nārada Mahārāja was speaking about his, previous his previous life and what and all happened in his life, he's stressing on a point that he accepted everything as a mercy of the Lord. When the sages left, and then his mother had to depart, so Nārada Mahārāja did not give up on Krishna consciousness. He did not give up saying that, oh, there are difficult things happening. He had already understood the real nature of the spirit soul, and he was proceeding towards achieving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all other things did not matter him much. He was very focused on his goal, and that was possible because he was sincerely serving the sages who came in the Chaturmas in his house and who were staying in his house. So that is what happens when we want to achieve something in the material world. We have to do a lot of plannings, but when we want to achieve something in the spiritual world, there is nothing much we need to plan. We have to depend on the mercy of the Lord. But yes, there are certain do's and don'ts which we need to follow very, very strictly. And that is what Nārada Mahārāja was doing. He was following everything very, very carefully. So that is what we see in the past, what has happened in the previous shlokas. And in this shloka, let me again share my screen so that we can discuss line by line on the purport. In shloka, Prabhupada is mentioning that in the Vedas, it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence. And we see this point that, we cannot force Krishna to come and have darshan, give darshan and all. We cannot say that I have chanted 64 rounds, now he has to come and give me darshan. We cannot say that I am following all the 4 regulatory principles very, very strictly and doing my sadhana very, very, perfectly. Now Krishna has to come. We cannot order Krishna. He has got no obligations. So here it is mentioned that forget about all those, strict sadhana and everything. Here Prabhupada is mentioning that mundane words and intelligence, you cannot call Krishna because of that. We have seen in the past in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is an example of Keshav Kashmiri. He comes and how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been, introduced to him so that he can challenge Keshav Kashmiri. So Keshav Kashmiri, he was very, very intelligent, the devotee of Mother Saraswati, but still he was not able to identify Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was nothing but, who was none other than Krishna himself, the Yugala avatar, but he was not able to identify. So that is one example. There are some more examples in the past, in the history we can see in the scriptures. There is an example of Duryodhana. He was able to see Krishna right in front of him, talking to him, acting with him, and fighting with him. But he was not able to understand that Krishna is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So many times there is a question when we are preaching Krishna consciousness. They say, if you show me God, I believe God. If you can't show me, then don't talk about it. So such a stupid thing. Prabhupada is explaining in multiple lectures. He is saying that if you want to see somebody, you need to do something really important. If somebody is very, very influential, forget about God. If you want to see a particular minister, if you want to see a chief minister, prime minister, there are certain things, certain guidelines you need to follow. You cannot see them just like that, right? To see a prime minister, you must do something very, very important so that, your name is called upon. And then you are able to see prime minister. Same thing happens with chief minister or any other local member of parliament or anything. You see, there are certain, things we need to do. You should have certain credibility. Only then you can see them. You cannot just order them, come and, I want to see you personally. Nobody will allow you to do that. There are certain, guidance. So what to talk about God? God is not your servant that, you order, I want to see you come, then I will do your bhakti. It is not like that. But yes, God can be seen through our ears. For the devotees, God can be seen through our ears. There was one example I remember Amok Lila Prabhuji was giving in his class. He was mentioning that he was mentioning that there was a professor in one of the big IIT college, and the professor was an atheist. So he was asking the students that how many of you believe in God? So because he was atheist, many people were very scared to raise their hands, and they were not able to admit that yes, they believe in God. So there were few people who were courageous enough to raise their hands, and they said, yeah, they believe in God. So the professor was very, very rude to them, and he said, have you seen God? Have you heard God? Have you tasted your God? Have you smelled God? So the answer was no. So he immediately, declared that because you cannot see God, you cannot hear God, you cannot smell, you cannot taste God, then which means the God does not exist. The discussion got over there. But yes, there was an intelligent student among those people, maybe a Hare Krishna devotee. So he asked the professor back. So he said, yes, I have a question. And the question was that, he asked the question to the class. He says, that have you seen Professor's mind, Professor's intelligence? So the answer was no. Then somebody then he further asked that have you tasted Professor's intelligence? They said no. Then have you heard Professor's intelligence? They said no. Then he immediately declared that because you cannot see his intelligence, you cannot hear his intelligence, you cannot feel. So because you cannot do all this, which means the Professor's brain, Professor's intelligence doesn't exist. And that is how he concluded. So we need to understand that, we cannot see God immediately. Prabhupada is saying in the neophyte stage, you cannot see God. But yes, by the mercy of the God, in the next line, Prabhupada is explaining that by the mercy, by the causeless mercy of the God, we can also see God. You see here, Prabhupada is writing, and yet by his causeless mercy, one can have suitable senses to hear him or speak to him. And you would be wondering what are the examples in the past. So I was collating some data. So you see that Srila Prabhupada, in one of the classes, it is mentioned that he could see God. He could see Krishna. And there was a kirtan going on, and it was somewhere in the midnight. And the disciple of Prabhupada, he was hearing that there is a nice singing and kirtan is going on. And then next day when he went, Prabhupada gave him a flower garland, and that flower was not available in the entire city. And then when he asked Prabhupada, then Prabhupada told that Krishna gave me this. So you see, Prabhupada could see Krishna, but yes, it was not very, very publicly announced, because Prabhupada says that a devotee has to be very, very sober. We do not announce our credibility that I have seen God. That is not important. Then you see that Prabhupada was able to see God, and Prabhupada was also able to talk to Krishna when he went to USA. And I think it was a temple in London, which the deity's name is Radha Londoneshwar. So he was praying to the deity, and then the deity spoke to Prabhupada, and the deity says, you have come to Western world and you are preaching nicely, but you must also go to India and preach there as well. And by the instructions of Sri Radha Londoneshwar, Srila Prabhupada had come back to India, and he started more centers in India as well. So you see that there was direct guidance from Krishna to Srila Prabhupada. And why Krishna spoke to Srila Prabhupada, why Krishna was visible to Srila Prabhupada? Because he was pleased by the service of Srila Prabhupada. That is very important. You see here, Nārada Mahārāja also is able to see Krishna, he is able to hear from Krishna very, very clearly, because he has pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his service. So that is a way to, please the Supreme Lord and see Supreme Lord. Many people ask this question. So the answer is that, we must do a service in that manner that, Supreme Personality of Godhead comes and sees who is this devotee who is doing this seva so nicely. And we have to be careful from the show off, because we are living in the material world, which is full of show off. So we have to be careful. Krishna doesn't like people, showing off and coming in front and pushing others down. He can choose the person who is standing in the end of the queue, last queue, and who is very humble, and who is very polite, and who is doing the service very, very diligently, without any expectation of being recognized every time. See, we keep running behind recognition in the material world. It is fine. But when we come into Krishna consciousness, we must be in a position that, recognition is not that important. And I know Krishna and Guru will already recognize me. So we have to take up the services and do it very, very sincerely, and not wait for the recognition. Because if we are waiting for recognition, then which means we are doing service for a purpose. And Krishna doesn't like people doing service for a purpose. Of course, it is better than not doing seva. But yes, if you do seva without being recognized, without being, without doing the show off, then that can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should also try to avoid the offenses, because that can, that can hamper our Krishna consciousness. Whatever efforts we do, it will go for waste if we are not careful with the with the offenses. So yeah, reading further. So here Prabhupada is mentioning, this is Lord's inconceivable energy. One upon whom his mercy is bestowed can hear him. The Lord was much pleased with Nārada Muni, and therefore the necessary strength was invested in him so that he could hear the Lord. It is not, however, possible for others to perceive directly the touch of the Lord during the probationary stage of regulative devotional service. It was a special gift for Narada. When he heard the pleasing word of the Lord, the feeling of separation were to some extent mitigated. A devotee in the love with God feels always the pangs of separation, and is therefore always enwrapped in transcendental ecstasy. So this is also very important line, that a devotee in love with God feels always the pangs of separation. So this love of separation is also very nice. People who have fallen in love, they would have, they can relate to me that, you know, when we are in separation, when the lovers do not meet, then they are remembering each other very much. You know, sometimes they say, I did not meet for 2 years. So the lover says, I was remembering you every day. And the lady also says, yeah, I was also remembering you every day. So there was too much of love. So that love a devotee exhibits for Krishna, you know, that is best, you know, even better than meeting Krishna, because you are thinking of Krishna. Oh my Lord, when am I going to see you? Oh my Lord, am I really pleasing you? You are thinking all the time, thinking, you know, thinking about Krishna. So that is one of the very important point. We are thinking about Krishna. And Krishna also says in Bhagavad-gītā, this shloka, there is a shloka, man mana bhavo mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. 2 times this shloka is being repeated in Bhagavad-gītā, the only shloka. Krishna is saying, think about me. And see here, thinking in separation is nothing like, you know, nothing like better than, I mean, there can be nothing better than that. So this is the, you know, crux of this particular shloka. Let's quickly move to the next one. 1.6.21 hantāsmiñ janmani bhavān mam draṣṭum ihārhati avipakva-kaṣāyāṇāṁ durdarśo aham kuyoginām. O Nārada, the Lord spoke, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me. So this second line is not for Nārada Mahārāja, it is for others to understand. Because Nārada Mahārāja in his previous life also, after doing so much of tapasya, was able to please the Lord by his service. And that is why, you know, Krishna made himself available for Nārada Mahārāja. So the second line is for all of us. And yes, so Lord is saying that in this life you will not be able to see me anymore. But you see that Lord did not reject all the tapasya performed by this great devotee, because we all know that in the next life, Nārada Mahārāja became the son of Brahma, and then he got a certificate to travel across the globe, across the planetary systems, and preach the glories. What a wonderful blessings that was, that, you know, he can go and preach all over the globe, everywhere, and he safeguarded so many devotees' life. So let me quickly read the purport. The personality of Godhead is described in the Bhagavad-gītā as the most pure, the supreme and absolute truth. There is no trace of tinge of materiality in his person, and thus one who has the slightest tinge of material affection cannot approach him. So you see here this line, if we have the slightest tinge of material affection, we cannot approach Krishna. But it doesn't mean that we lose hopes and we say that, oh, we cannot go to Krishna, let us lose hope and let us continue the material life. It is not like that. When we start to associate with the Vaishnavas, then these things slowly go away and we do not much enjoy the material things, but rather we start enjoying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, association, his pastimes, association of the Vaishnavas, prasadam, and there are a lot of things to enjoy. And that enjoyment is a transcendental enjoyment. The beginning of devotional service starts from the point when one is freed from at least 2 forms of material modes, namely the mode of passion and mode of ignorance. The result is exhibited by the signs of being freed from kāma and lobha. So being freed from mode of passion and mode of ignorance does not mean that, you know, today I declare, okay, I am free from mode of passion and ignorance. There are a lot of things which reflects this behavior. Like somebody who is in the mode of passion, they eat very spicy food, and they are very, very passionate about their future career. They want to do everything very, very perfectly, and they are like, you know, they don't care about other people who are with them. They just want to get the work done, and they wear very fashionable clothes, you know, some doing everything extraordinary just to satisfy their senses. So that is called mode of passion. Mode of ignorance, we all know that, you know, eating, sleeping, not doing any spiritual inquiries, not bothered about human life. So that is something called mode of ignorance. So this gets exhibited in the action of the devotee. So further reading, I'll take another 5 minutes. That is to say, one must be freed from the desires for sense gratification and avarice for sense gratification. So avarice meaning extreme desire for sense gratification. So we must be careful The balanced mode of nature is goodness, and to be completely freed from all material tinges is to become free from the mode of goodness also. So sometimes people might be thinking why this mode of goodness is also harmful. Many times you would have seen while preaching, we come across the people who say that that I am already doing so much. I am doing so much charity. 1 lakh rupees I'm giving every year. Some people say I am doing so much of annadana. Some people say that I have constructed one temple. You don't know that. So they are very, very proud of what they have done. So that is not recommended. Then where is the humble nature? So that is a mode of goodness also. Eventually, one is able to overcome, and they come to their Suddha Sattva platform. To search the audience of God in a lonely forest is considered to be in the mode of goodness. One can go out into the forest to attain spiritual perfection, but that does not mean that one can see the Lord personally there. We have seen many people going to the forest, right, for trekking purpose, for Discovery Channel. They shoot so many videos in the forest, but they rarely see, they never see Supreme Personality of Godhead in the forest. So going to the forest and seeing God is not there is no guarantee that you're going to see God because you're going to the forest. And moreover, today's when you talk about the Yuga Dharma for Kali, it is not that to go in the forest and perform tapasya and see God. So in the interest of time, I'll just sum up the last part of the shloka. So further, it is recommended that, if you want to see the God, then we don't have to go to the forest in this age of Kali, because materially you can go to, physically you can go to the forest, but our mind will remain looking for material enjoyment. Our mind will be thinking every time of the material enjoyment, what we used to get in living in the city in between the people. So Yuga Dharma is that, wherever you are in your house, you can nicely engage in the service of the Lord, which means, make Krishna as the center of your house, offer bhoga, take care of the Lord as you take care of your small children. And that way you can nicely serve. Do not consider Krishna as a picture or as a deity. Krishna is Archa Vigraha. He can accept service in any form. You must understand that he's Krishna. So have a personal relationship, serve the Lord, get the new dresses, invite the Vaishnavas in your house, offer them, prasadam, speak to them nicely, give gifts to the devotees, and don't do show off. Maybe in the beginning you can try doing something as a show off, but yes, later on that show off should go away, and the sincere devotional service should remain. And chanting the holy name of the Lord is Yoga Dharma. Chant 16 rounds minimum, and then more than that also you can chant. When we are spending 2 hours for chanting, ensure that our chanting is with full dedication and with full attention. So when we are doing all these activities, we are definitely, we will be pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased, then our job is done, because our job will become very easy, because the Lord is pleased. One last example I'll give. In the 3 minutes I'll finish. So we have heard that past time where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there was a sadhu, there was a sage who came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, and he wanted to stay overnight in the house. So Jagannath Mishra nicely welcomed the sadhu, and the sage wanted to cook himself, because they wanted to be very clear that, the bhava while cooking is not affected. So they cooked their own food. So he cooked the entire food, and then he went and offered, he wanted to offer to the Supreme Lord. He was praying that, my dear Lord, please accept. So before even he could offer, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a small child, he came, and he started eating from that. So this person, he saw, he became bewildered. Oh my Lord, what is this? You small boy, why did you do like this? I wanted to offer to the Lord. You have done jutha already. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is taken away from that place, and then again he is cooking. This sadhu is cooking, and again he's willing. He's praying, my dear Lord, first time I couldn't offer to you. Please, this time you accept my the preparation which I'm making for you. Please forgive me. And he was sincerely praying that please accept, please accept. And when he's about to offer, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, and again he eats the laddu or some bhoga item. So this person becomes bewildered. I'm trying to, prepare bhoga for the Lord, and this small child is again and again coming and eating. Why is he doing like this? I think I have done some offenses. So this time it became night 12 o'clock, and again he was praying. And this time they locked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a separate room that, he doesn't come and disturb the sadhu. And then he's praying, and then he is going to offer. And what he sees, to his surprise, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is again sitting and eating the bhoga items. So this sadhu becomes bewildered. He starts crying that, why did you do this? I am trying to offer bhoga to the Lord, and you are not allowing me to do. My Lord, what is this happening? So that point of time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives his darshan, and he says, you are only calling me that come and eat, come and eat. And when I'm eating, you are regretting. You are saying, why are you eating? And then he shows his form. So you see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very pleased by that sadhu, and that is why he was coming and accepting. So with these prayers that Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes pleased with all of us, and Lord Jagannath, Baldev, Subramanya becomes pleased with all of us and accept our bhoga items like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the bhoga items from the sadhu. So with this prayer for all of us, I would like to give a pause here. And my sincere apologies if I have made any mistakes. We'll give a pause here, and you are free to ask any questions and make any corrections as well. Hare Krishna. Dhamma Puram. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Patita Pavan Guru Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.